seeing where the Kendra Scott Foundation is able to come in and meet a tangible need that Inheritance of Hope wouldn't be able to meet without partners. I think that's what's super exciting. I think the other thing that really shifted my perspective to be like, wow, they're doing incredible work here was when I saw so many family members who had been served that come back and serve on their retreats. Every single retreat that I'm on where there's a prior family served volunteering, it just blows my mind. And they're so selfless and connect with their families so well because they get it on a really personal, deep level. So I think that speaks volumes to the work Inheritance of Hope is doing. It proves that, they have found community here, that they believe in the mission, that they felt served, and their resources that you guys provided were making a difference. So that is always one of my favorite kind of moments where I'm like, this is why we're here. On October 13th, in honor of Holley Rothell Kitchen, 20% of all sales in-store and online will help fund Inheritance of Hope legacy retreats through the Kendra Scott Foundation to ensure families like Holley's get the resources and support that they need.
Welcome to the Inheritance of Hope podcast. Every day, 562 children lose a parent to terminal illness. They shouldn't have to face that alone. You can pretend to avoid the painful realities of illness, grief, and death, or you can deal with the real stuff in caring community. On the podcast, people in Inheritance of Hope's community share raw, personal stories of pain, trials, and the shadow of death, which are also stories of joy in terminal illness. Find more Inheritance of Hope community at inheritanceofhope.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Inheritance of Hope podcast. My name is Ellie, and I'll be your host for today. I'm very excited for this episode, which I feel like I start every episode saying that. However, this one is going to be probably our first spin-off that we've done. We're not interviewing a diagnosed parent or caregiver or child of a diagnosed parent. We're going to be talking about something really special that's a huge part of Inheritance of Hope and really allows a lot of families to experience these services. So I'm going to just pass the mic to our guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jacqueline Kwitzke, and I'm the program manager for Kendra Scott and the Kendra Scott Foundation. So if you're not familiar with Kendra Scott, we're a fashion lifestyle brand that was started here in Austin, Texas, over 20 years ago by our incredible founder, Kendra. And really, the company was built on three core pillars of family, fashion, and philanthropy. And so we're really getting to talk a lot about our philanthropy pillar today and the work that the Kendra Scott Foundation does. But I've been with the brand almost 5 years, which is really crazy to say. I started as an intern in the summer of 2019, came back full-time after COVID, and started doing operations and was able to kind of work my way up. And when we launched the foundation a few years ago, I was able to move over and fully focus all my efforts on the Kendra Scott Foundation and our programs and our partnerships. So really, the Kendra Scott Foundation supports women and youth causes in the areas of health and wellness, education, and entrepreneurship. We do that through three of our own core programs, but also through like-minded partners, like our partnership with Inheritance of Hope. So I really love getting to work directly with our partners, getting to work directly on our programs, and getting to tangibly see the impact that Kendra Scott and the Kendra Scott Foundation is making.
That sounds like such an incredibly rewarding position where obviously, you can work for a brand or something where you're like, oh, I like the jewelry or something. But if it doesn't have something a little bit more substantive, you're less bought in. And so I feel like you're in a really cool position to see the company for everything it offers and then more, and not just fashion, but like fashion and family and all these things. So that's really, really special. What do you love most about that role that you're in?
I think it's just getting to go to communities where our programs are in place or be at events where our partnerships are coming to life and getting to work directly with the recipients of our work, right? So when I'm in a school with our Yellow Library program and getting to interact one-on-one with the educators and the students and seeing them get really excited about their new books, or when I'm volunteering on a retreat and getting to see our employees understand our partnership and connection with Inheritance of Hope and our Inheritance of Hope families is definitely the most rewarding and meaningful aspect. But we really work to ensure that all of our employees feel empowered to give back as well. They have paid time off they can use specifically for volunteering. Every employee does at Kendra Scott, which is exciting. And so they're able to go live that philanthropy pillar out as well.
It does seem like a great way that it it goes throughout the whole company. It's not just at this high level tier. This is something that's important. It goes all the way to every single employee to really encourage that and live it out. So I love how that pillar of Kendra Scott has kind of infiltrated every level of leadership and everything. I'm curious if someone is listening and knows of Kendra Scott, maybe has like gone to a store, bought some stuff before, and does not know about the collaboration with Inheritance of Hope, and this is news to them. Can you fill us in on how did Kendra Scott get connected with Inheritance of Hope?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started partnering with Inheritance of Hope in 2017 to really fundraise for our first legacy retreat that took place in 2018. That retreat was really small. It was only 10 families, and we served families with moms who had a metastatic breast cancer diagnosis. We were just really trying to understand the goals of Inheritance of Hope, how you guys execute your incredible programming, and understanding how we can come in and add that yellow thread that I talk about through everything you guys do. But really, it's just continued to grow from there. So in 2022, we expanded to serve families of all diagnoses, which was really impactful. I think that had come from years of partnership with Inheritance of Hope and understanding the work they were doing. And then in 2024, we continued to double down on our partnership with Inheritance of Hope and expand our partnership to fund not only one legacy retreat a year, but 2 legacy retreats. And so together, since our partnership launch, we've served over 230 families across 9 different legacy retreats, which is incredible. And we're so proud to partner with Inheritance of Hope to really provide hope and joy to those families facing a terminal diagnosis.
Yeah. And man, through this podcast, I interview a lot of people who have been on retreats themselves or just in other ways. I always hear stories of how impacted people have been from legacy retreats, and especially the ones that Kendra Scott is involved in. It does feel like, you kind of add a little cherry on top and just ways to go above and beyond to make each family feel so pampered, seen, and cared for. So sweet that your organization does this. And I guarantee you all the families that number you gave, any number of those people would say that was a life-changing event or just very, very impacted by that.
I love that. It's always so fun to see the families we keep up with on Facebook and even volunteers who we've volunteered with multiple times wear their Kendra Scott that they received on a retreat and talk about how it is a memento for them. And so we love to really stay in touch with each one of our families.
Yeah. Have you been on any of these retreats?
I have. I think I've lost count. So that's how many I've served on, which is crazy. But my first retreat, I just came as a total volunteer through Kendra Scott to really understand the full experience. Of course, helping out where I could through the works of our philanthropy team. But over the years, I've really grown to support a major part of our partnership with Inheritance of Hope. And so that kind of comes with managing all aspects of the retreat from a planning perspective from the KS side. So I work really closely with Tara, who's on staff at Inheritance of Hope and kind of oversees legacy retreats, to kind of select our Kendra Scott volunteers. What are the event logistics? How are we really brainstorming ways to make our involvement more impactful while letting Inheritance of Hope do what they do best in serving these families? I've also come on retreats as a non-Kendra Scott volunteer and just served in my personal time because I felt so connected and supportive of the cause. It's just been a blast getting to form friendships outside of work with other Inheritance of Hope volunteers and staff members. I'll never forget volunteering on a retreat, and I was paired with a volunteer named Maddie, who I knew was a pro, so I knew I was in good hands, but we were just having so much fun with our family. We put them on one Ferris wheel cart, Maddie and I got on the other, and just got to connect on life as 2 young adult women. I love getting to support her from afar on social and all the things. And so I feel like every time I come to a retreat, it's like a mini family reunion for me, seeing friends and, people I've formed great relationships with.
That's so good. Even how you referred to it as it feeling like a family reunion, I've heard that from families who are attending for the first time and they don't know anyone. And they've described it before as, it feels like we're going to a family reunion with people you know and love versus a 2-3 day thing with strangers. And so, whether or not you know people as you're going, it's just cool to feel like that's the environment that people can name. Yeah, I want to hear, is there one quintessential memory that kind of stands out to you, whether you were, formally a Kendra Scott volunteer or just kind of there as an Inheritance of Hope volunteer? with a family that you got to work with?
Yeah, I think back to one of the retreats I served on in Orlando with the Hockman family and their two daughters, Lila and Meredith. Just so sweet. The dad, I believe, had stage 4 colon cancer. And it was just the sweetest family. It reminded me so much of like my family growing up. So that was always an instant connection. Just same values, same lifestyle. So that was awesome. But we just had a blast with them, exploring Universal, getting rides. Lila liked some younger rides where Meredith liked the roller coaster. So we were able to divide and conquer. And just those days we spent together were so fun. I randomly get texts from Lila off her mom's iPad to this day, so always staying in touch with her. Her favorite question to ask me is if I've seen Kendra that week in the office. And so it's just been a blast. I look back on those photos and think through those times with really fond memories, and getting to stay in touch with them via Facebook and social media is always a blast, and continue to support them from afar. But just quintessential amusement park days. You can't beat them. And so we had just had a really good time.
That's so sweet. And it reminds me of one of the main reasons, or one of many reasons I love Inheritance of Hope, is because I have a background from working in healthcare. So I am a certified child life specialist. I'm used to like HIPAA and the rules, and you don't give patients your number, your Facebook, anything. Like, it's so removed. And so coming into working at Inheritance of Hope, it was so odd for me to be like, oh, the relationship continues. And it's just a sweet balance of, obviously there's still boundaries and like it's done well, but you can continue that where you're not just meeting someone and then you're moving on with your life, but that it's an integrated friendship. You can still kind of care for one another, even if you're in different states. But that's just something that has always stood out to me. And I think that continuation of care just makes this nonprofit sector something for parents and kids going through medical experiences just extra sweet, because you're not just seen and then left. But yeah.
Totally. And what I love is that families can be involved as they want to. So they might have a really busy month and aren't able to, catch up with any of their IOH family and friends, or not make any of y'all's regular meetings online. But the next month might be more open and they can choose to be a part of those things. So I always think that's a really awesome opportunity, that you're kind of putting it back in the family's hands and just saying, we're here to serve you whenever works best, and as much and as little as you want.
Yeah, I've had this analogy before where it's like we have this huge table and we're not running out of seats. And your family, by taking the spot and taking a seat at that table, you're not taking away from another family. So I know sometimes we hear that for retreats, especially, of like, well, I may be in remission, and so I want another family to go. It's like, oh, there's room for you guys, all of you. So, and at the table, if it's a heavy season or you just need to take a step away, like we're reserving those spots for you at the table. So go ahead and like go off, do what you need to do, but you're always, always, always welcome back, even if it's years later. So I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
What about from more the professional standpoint? Like, what is something that you've got to witness in your role with the Kendra Scott Foundation's generosity? Like, what is a cool story of how those dollars have impacted families facing the loss of a parent due to terminal illness?
I think just a multitude of ways. A really tangible one is when I look at our retreats, I look at the fun goodies we get to add, right? So maybe that's a really fun elevated photo booth, or we always bring our Kendra Cares color bar to all of our retreats. So that's where families can go through and make a piece of jewelry at no cost. And it really serves as like a memento for the retreat. Also, my personal favorite is always Parents' Night Out. I know kids love Kids' Night Out. All the volunteers love Kids' Night Out. But when I get to stay back and really love on our parents and shower them with maybe a makeover thanks to our partners at Dillard's, or treat them to a fun dinner, just the two of them, where they can have an adult beverage and a meal and just get to connect, are always my favorite parts. On those Parents' Night Out, seeing where this Kendra Scott Foundation is able to come in and meet a tangible need that Inheritance of Hope wouldn't be able to meet without partners. I think that's what's super exciting.
Right. And I think what you said kind of just shows that cherry on top for families. Like, obviously a retreat by itself is sufficient. It's beautiful. It's so moving. But the fact that Kendra Scott can kind of come in and like add a little sparkle to it, make it just a little bit like tweaks here and there that just make families feel that much more cared for and seen and celebrated. Like that is just so beautiful. And I think the partnership and collaboration is so touching. Yeah, both from like being on staff and witnessing it, but also like the volunteers always talk about it. The families are so touched by it.
It's that yellow
Yeah,
thread that we weave through everything. And it's because it's so personal to us and it's so personal to Kendra.
yeah. Okay, and you mentioned Dillard's. So for someone who is maybe listening and hears like, okay, Dillard's / Kendra Scott with retreats, like what's the difference? What does Dillard's do? Yeah, just kind of fill us in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have from a business perspective, we have a great relationship with Dillard's. They're one of our incredible wholesale partners. And when we were kind of onboarding them as a partner, they were learning about our philanthropy pillar and raised their hand and said, we want to get involved. How can we support you? And so we had them on our retreat. And ever since then, they've continued to also support Inheritance of Hope, whether it's through in-kind donations, like new outfits and shirts for Parents' Night Out for our families, or goodies in their welcome bags when they arrive. And so they've just been an incredible partner and now continue their relationship by fundraising for Inheritance of Hope on their own.
Here's how you can be involved in Holley Day. Find a Kendra Scott store to visit and shop. 20% of all sales in every Kendra Scott store and at kendrascott.com will be given back to Inheritance of Hope to support legacy retreats in the upcoming year. Our friends at Dillard's are also involved in Holley Day, so you can also visit any Dillard store and make a purchase of Kendra Scott jewelry, and 20% of that purchase will support legacy retreats.
That's amazing. And I feel like if someone is listening to this episode and they have no idea about our retreats, maybe they've heard about Inheritance of Hope. Yes, it's true. Like everything you're listening to, families get new shirts or new jewelry that they get to craft. They go to Universal and all these things are like, it's not too good to be true. So definitely check out inheritanceofhope.org if you're kind of interested in like learning more, whether it's from like a donor perspective, a volunteer, or as a family serves. So I know we're kind of talking about some like crazy things and just wanted to like make it realistic for a second and say, yeah, it's that good. Okay, so I know we've talked about the collaboration between Kendra Scott and Inheritance of Hope. How did Kendra Scott hear about Inheritance of Hope? Like, what is the origin story of all of this collaboration?
Yeah, it came from Kendra herself, actually. She had a dear friend named Holley Rothell Kitchen who was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer and was actually served on a retreat. And while she was on the retreat, she was texting Kendra, sending photos, talking about her experience, sharing about the tools she was receiving, and really just couldn't share enough. And so when Holley ultimately passed away, Kendra came to our now Senior Vice President of Philanthropy to understand how we could get more personally involved to support Holley's memory. And so that's how we were introduced, was really through Holley.
Yeah, and we have a very cool annual thing as a way to continue that legacy and Holley's memory. So tell us a little bit about what we do together.
Yeah. So in the walls of Kendra Scott, it's called Holley Day, which is also known as Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day on October 13th. But like I said, we call it Holley Day. That's where on October 13th, in honor of Holley, 20% of all sales in store and online will help fund Inheritance of Hope legacy retreats through the Kendra Scott Foundation to ensure families like Holley's get the resources and the support that they need.
It's incredible, too, because if we haven't mentioned this before, all Inheritance of Hope resources are provided at no cost to the families. And that feels like a huge, important thing to say. I'm not sure if we said it already, but it's because of generous donors and Kendra Scott being a very large, generous donor who makes this possible. And you said it was 2 legacy retreats, right?
Yeah, so we fund 2 legacy retreats a year.
Okay. Yeah, and that cannot be overstated. That's so generous, so huge. And Holley Day is a fantastic way of making that a reality. So tell our listeners a little bit about what that looks like, or kind of do a little Holley Day pitch for us.
Yeah, all of our stores will be so excited to welcome you in. You can shop online as well and make it super easy, but our stores are really where you get to pick up our pieces, try them on, decide really what you want to wear. It's a great opportunity to kind of buy a gift for someone and know that you're giving back with the purchase of that gift. So we encourage you to really come in store, bring your friends, bring your neighbor, and make it a girls' night. and know that you're shopping to give back to Inheritance of Hope, but you're also honoring Holley's memory through all of that as well.
And it's great timing because as you're kind of approaching the end of the year, maybe you're starting to think about holiday gifts and things to buy family and friends, and who doesn't want some little bling and some jewelry? So this is a great way to buy something that is so meaningful and beautiful to like their incredibly beautiful pieces and support families who are facing the unimaginable. So I know we have some locations of Kendra Scott throughout the US that we're really promoting. We're going to kind of have parties there.
Wow.
I know I will be at the Edina, Minnesota location from 3 to 5 p.m. And that's not the only location. Do you know what those locations are?
Yeah, so we have stores all across the country. So head on over to our website and you can log on there and put your zip code in and see which Kendra Scott store is closest to you. But if there's not one super close to you or you just can't make it out in person on the day, please shop online and you can still give back.
Yeah, that is incredible because I know if you can't make it to a store in person, that's totally fine. You can still do it. And I don't have it off the top of my head, but in the show notes, I will put some of those locations where we will have Inheritance of Hope staff or families and kind of just repping our organization. And you can stop in, chat a little bit with us to hear more and kind of just get a little party. So check the show notes for that because as this is coming out, we have less than a week before holiday is here.
Take a picture while you're shopping and share it on social, inviting your friends and family to join in the fun. Thank you in advance for being part of this special day, holiday, October 13th. Remember to tag us at Inheritance of Hope and Kendra Scott.
If you're listening to this episode afterwards, still shop at Kendra Scott, still donate to Inheritance of Hope. But we are strategically placing this episode so that we can invite you formally to this amazing holiday celebration.
And it's an annual event. So if you're listening later, keep your eye on October 13th, for the next year.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, do you have any stories about Holley Rothell Kitchen or anything that you want to share about her journey with metastatic breast cancer or even her friendship with Kendra Scott that you haven't touched on already?
Well, I did not know Holley personally, but to hear what an incredible individual she was from Kendra and from other Kendra Scott family members has just been remarkable. But really, we've seen Holley's legacy live on. We've served families from Austin, Texas, who actually knew Holley and were diagnosed around the same time as her, come and be served on retreats.
I'd be really curious to hear, as you've been in this role for a while and seeing the impact of the philanthropic work that Kendra Scott does, how has your perspective shifted? I know, for me personally, coming as a healthy person into this role, I continually have so many shifted perspectives and just humbling moments where I just have the greatest empathy and gratefulness for where I'm coming from and my family's background and things like that. So you personally, have you had any of those moments where you've really had incredible perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I think leaving my first retreat, I was living in Austin at the time. My family was in Dallas where I grew up, and I was like, can I change my flight? I just want to go home and spend time with my family and be grateful for them. So I think it's really shifted my perspective to prioritize family while they're here, prioritizing family trips and vacations and dinners and everything in between. But it's also made me so grateful that I work for an organization and I'm in a position personally to support Inheritance of Hope and support the work that they're doing, whether that is volunteering on the ground or giving personally and everything in between.
Yeah, no kidding. I actually used to facilitate one of our Hope at Home groups, which is our weekly online support groups. And I was a facilitator for the Metastatic Breast Cancer group. And I feel like I left every single week. I shut my computer and I just went out and I hugged my husband. I'm like, we're good. You just have so much respect for what people are going through and all of the obstacles in their way, and yet they're still choosing joy. And choosing joy is a huge part of it. It doesn't just come naturally when you're in the midst of something like that. So it's just really sweet when you just kind of want to hug your people a little bit tighter and you just really gain a lot of appreciation for what you have.
Yeah, I think the other thing that really shifted my perspective to be wow, they're doing incredible work here was when I saw so many family members who had been served that come back and serve on their retreats. Every single retreat that I'm on where there's a prior family served volunteering, it just blows my mind. and they're so selfless and connect with their families so well because they get it on a really personal, deep level. So I think that speaks volumes to the work Inheritance of Hope is doing. It proves that, they have found community here, that they believe in the mission, that they felt served, and the resources that you guys provided were making a difference. So that is always one of my favorite kind of moments where I'm like, this is why we're here.
Yeah, it's really a huge marker of success when people have been so impacted that they come back and want to make sure that other people have such a good experience that they got to have. And it's always so humbling because, they get to operate out of like this place of knowing what it's like and to meet people in the thick of it, and knowing that, there's good days, there's bad days, and you kind of have to choose joy in the midst of it. And also it's okay if days are just really crappy. And so for people to come with that experience and show up as Hope at Home group facilitators, as legacy video coaches, as retreat volunteers, like all these people, so many of our volunteers are previous family served. And I guess also to say, like, you don't have to have that background. We have so many people on our volunteer team who just have a heart for helping medically complex families. So if that's you, no matter kind of where you fall on that, like, again, visit inheritanceofhope.org. We have a place for you. There's purpose here. So I love that you touched on that. Yeah. As you're talking about like being in this role and just it feels like it's a great fit for you and your passions and kind of where your heart is, I guess what would you say to someone who either works for an organization with like corporate sponsorship or philanthropic opportunities, or like personally has the capacity to give of their own resources in a way that could help support families facing the loss of a parent due to terminal illness? Like, you have the microphone. I guess what message would you share?
Yeah, I would say it's a gift you won't regret giving, right? Like helping these families find connection with a hope-filled community after a terminal diagnosis and really getting to walk alongside them in that journey is incredibly rewarding. I also would tell them you can start small. You don't have to come in and fund your own retreat, right? Like it took time for us to grow our relationship to get to where we are today. So think creatively, right? Like, do you have in-kind support you could give? Can you just give your time, which is so valuable, and come volunteer on a retreat? Do you have a small monthly monetary donation or other ways you'd like to help Inheritance of Hope's mission grow? I think is a great place to start. So really get creative, right? We always say think through your time, talent, and your treasure. I think your time is your most valuable commodity. Your talent, what's something you're really good at? It might not be pushing a wheelchair, interacting with a family, but can you help on the back end, making a slideshow, helping operationally? And then your treasure will follow. So can you give a small donation after you've kind of given your time and your talent as well?
Yeah, that's so good. And to speak on that, like I have a team of probably 20 to 30 volunteers. Some of them are legacy video coaches or help with the podcast, stuff like that. But I also have people who like mail postcards and do data entry. Like they enter data into a spreadsheet and like into our system. And that might not be as flashy as like you're the boots on the ground, you're this retreat volunteer. And yet that's so valuable. Totally love what you just said, because whatever is that combination of like, where is there a need and where is your heart and talent? And if those two can combine, that's such a dynamic duo that is kind of untouchable. So we totally would take any of your talents and and if you're in a position like Jacqueline is with an organization, like think creatively and just put this on your radar that there is opportunities always for generosity and philanthropic partnerships, because everything that we offer to families is at no cost. So I was just talking to an executive director of another organization who deals with widows, and we were just talking yesterday about how sometimes people are like, oh, it's free, or like there's no cost associated with it. And it's like, oh, whoa, yeah, no, on the back end, there's so much that goes into it. And because of generous donors and because of generous corporations, we are able to make this free. And so I guess just to like put that on your radar, we're coming up to our Thanks Plus Giving season, which is all about like Giving Tuesday, year-end giving. And that's such a beautiful time to see how generous people are to make sure that families can get these services at no cost to them. So I think you just spoke really well on all of those things. So thank you. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you want to talk about? or anything you were hoping I would bring up on this call?
Well, just one last reminder that on October 13th, in honor of Holley Rothell Kitchen, 20% of all sales in-store and online will help fund Inheritance of Hope legacy retreats through the Kendra Scott Foundation to ensure families like Holley's get the resources and support that they need. So please come out to your local Kendra Scott store, shop online. We can't wait to see you there and give back to Inheritance of Hope together.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, check the show notes or our website where you can definitely have the information that I don't have off the top of my head, unfortunately, but we're going to have some parties and you are officially invited. Bring friends, turn this into a really meaningful day, do some early Christmas shopping and give back to families who need this support. You can give joy in terminal illness through your shopping at Kendra Scott on holiday or through donations through our website. So thank you so much, Jacqueline. It feels so special to get to hear some of your story and get to hear how passionate you are about the work that you do. It feels like it's very in alignment with what you're good at, where your heart is at. So, and at the end of this episode, I'll say this now too, we end every single podcast episode with a legacy song. And we created a special song honoring Holley Rothell Kitchen that kind of touches on her life and her legacy, some of the things that she would always say and what was valuable to her. So take a listen to that, hang out at the end of this podcast episode to hear that. But thank you so much, Jacqueline, for your time and your words.
Of course. Thank you.
She was a mother with a gentle heart, a fighter from the very start, an ordinary soul in extraordinary times. With every sunrise she'd find her way, grateful breath she used to say, how can I make a memory that lasts beyond my life? She never let tomorrow steal today, taught her children love won't fade away. Holley's song is a song of hope, a melody for hearts that cope. Through the storm she found her light, shining brave in the darkest night. She said, don't wait, live now, find joy on the way. Every morning I decide it's gonna be a great day. Vegas lights, the Florida shore, New York streets she still adored. But love ran deeper than the journeys that she made. Kendra's friendship shining bright, each October brings her light. Holiday reminds us of the difference that she gave. Her legacies and kindness left behind, in every heart she's strengthened by design. Holley's song is a song of hope, a melody for hearts that cope. Through the storm she found her light, shining brave in the darkest night. She said, don't wait, live now, find joy on the way. Every morning I decide it's gonna be a great day. To her son she gave her love, her courage, her faith in God above. She showed them what it means to be resilient, strong, and truly free. Holley's song still sings today, a timeless voice that will not fade. Though the battle took her breath away, her spirit lives in the words she'd say. Don't wait, live now, find joy on the way. Every morning I decide it's gonna be